All right. Hey, we are live on Facebook on my channel on Donna Francavilla. I'm going to post this on YouTube later, so if you missed this and you want to come back, look on my YouTube channel, Donna Francavilla. And I am honored tonight to speak to Mark Jackson. And but first, I'm going to say hello to the group because we have a live group here. Oh, yeah, the microphone. Okay. I'm being reminded to use the microphone. Well, hello, everyone. We are on live on Facebook, so we're being joined by others. A lively conversation over there. Hey, I'm Donna Francavilla. You know Mark Jackson. If you don't know him, you ought to. He's a fascinating man, and I've been given the privilege to interview Mark by Sanjay, who was kind enough to ask me. I do a little web series called Where Are You From? And in Where Are You From segments, I ask people what we all want to know from one another. Where are you from? Because where you're from shapes who you are and helps develop you and your career. And in Mark's case, it's not where he's from necessarily that shaped who he is, but where his ancestors are from. And so, first of all, I want to give a shout out to the few people in the room that I know. Sheila, who's one day we will play golf, but I have to blindfold you first. And Kara Kennedy, who I've had the pleasure of interacting with. She's a great PR professional if you're looking to hire someone. And speaking of professionals, we've got a great one here. Mark is someone I've been aware of for a long time. We really got to know him when we served on the Sisters City Commission, which he ran for the city of Birmingham. But Mark, where are your ancestors from?
You know, it's British.
Yes.
My 14th grandfather was King Henry VIII. And what's really interesting...
Should I kiss the ring?
No. What's interesting is that makes news stateside. But when you go to Britain, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, everybody's related to him. Because if you know your history, he was very prolific, but not very selective. So...
So how many cousins and aunts and uncles and relatives have you found?
Well,
Does the family branch go?
No, what's interesting about this group, and to go back to what I said a minute ago, that he was not selective, yet extremely prolific. And if you disagreed with him and you were one of his wife, off with your head. But the lineage that I come from, the guy that was born from him, John Parrott, actually became the king's ambassador to Ireland, when Ireland was one nation, not United Kingdom and Ireland, but the Republic. And as that side of the family grew, they left, and they did not go to Plymouth. They didn't go anywhere in the Northeast. They came to what became North Carolina. And they settled in North Carolina, came down to Cherokee County, Alabama, and then settled, get this, in Sylacauga, Alabama.
Of all places.
Exactly right. And that's where I come from. I was born and raised up in Bluff Park. Now, remember what I said a few minutes ago about ambassador to Ireland. During that time, there was never any intermingling from a marriage perspective of that lineage and Ireland until yours truly. Going back about 23 years, I was at church, and there was this girl, and I was like, whoa, I've got to meet her. Well, guess what? She's from the Cork lineage of County Cork, Ireland. So through all those many generations, I'm the one that got with an Irish girl. And we have two 18 and 17-year-old redheaded boys, blue-eyed, fair-skinned boys. You could drop them in Dublin, and they look just like they grew up there. So that's where I'm from, and from Bluff Park, Alabama, and there you go, right up on the hill.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned the Irish aspect of it because your son looks like he's straight out of Ireland with his head of red hair, and they're getting along better these days, from what I understand.
The Irish or my sons?
The Irish and the English.
Oh, little Brexit thing. I was over there last week, and it's in both countries, England and in Ireland. And this Brexit thing is causing a lot of hoo-ha. I mean, the question is, what are you going to do with an invisible border that exists between those counties and the northern part of Ireland, which is still part of the United Kingdom, and the Republic? So it's going to prove to be a strange thing. And I think, quite honestly, I think England may find itself in a bit of a pickle when they're sitting out there on their own trying to support their own economy.
I think they like the idea better than they like the reality of it.
Exactly right.
It'd be interesting to see how it falls out and if any other countries follow suit. What is your feeling when you sit with people at the diplomatic level, when you're sitting with colleagues who represent their countries? What kinds of discussions take place?
One of them is about our country and the leadership in our country now. Some don't understand that leadership. As a diplomat for Japan, that is a side I don't fall down on either way. But it is very interesting to explain what's going on in this country, because this country over the course of the last 8 to 12 years has really gotten closely divided. No longer do you see a 60-40 presidential election. You see a 50.1 to a 49.9. And that there's not much common ground there. We also talk about global economies. We talk about how things that happen in Japan with the Nikkei stock market affects the Dow and vice versa. And then we just talk about the interesting part about all politics, all diplomacy, all business comes down to where it's local and it's personal. Who knows who gets along with who, why do they get along with the other, and why do they not? So that's very much discussion. I just went on a 3-week trip, straight around. Tokyo, 5 cities in Japan,
Whoa.
And then to Kiev, and then to Liverpool, and then to Dublin. And it's like, you're American. I got a question. Okay, let's talk about it. And everything comes down to personalities. And that is, I think the world is just like a pyramid. Our city, our state, your communities are all like a pyramid. The higher up you get, what happens? The smaller that community gets. And the people that you see more often. And they're very inquisitive because they're in such a small bunch, they have to interact so closely together.
Some interesting insight. How do you, when you mentioned the ascent, the higher you get, let's talk about how you got to where you're going around the world and taking trips and stopping at various cities in Japan. So from a business perspective, how did you get there?
It was interesting. Many years ago, I worked for a conference call provider company in Montgomery. I lived in Montgomery for a while, and I saw that there was, raise your hand if you've never been on a conference call. There you go. Everybody's been on a conference call. There was no way that you could do a conference call globally without a lot of international costs.
This is before Skype, obviously.
Yeah, it was. This is before email, actually. I remember my first CompuServe address, and this is back in 1996 when I left that company and started what's known as Morrison Conferencing. And Morrison started in the tool shed of my parents' driveway in Montgomery. I had 3 2-drawer file cabinets, and I took a piece of plywood and put across each one of them, and that was my desk. And I thought I had this, I can't say this really, really powerful computer. It had a gig of a hard drive space. That was just amazing, and a 13-inch screen. I had it made. That was huge. But went off and looked at things about how in the world could you get someone in a conference call as cheaply from Birmingham as from Birmingham, from Rome, Georgia, Rome, Italy, your country. And that idea started to catch on, and we started to garner some customers. But what I found out is here we sit in Birmingham, Alabama, and in Atlanta, there is a group of people that are all in the diplomatic circle, and they're called consul generals. Each country around the world, with the exception of very few, have a consulate in Atlanta that's responsible for the Southeast. Now, when I say that, it is Japan's consul general that is responsible for 5 southern states. I wanted to do business with a certain Japanese company. If you look on your zippers, don't do it now, but if you look on your zippers, YKK was this company. So I knew through the Japan American Society of Georgia that there was an opportunity to meet the CEO of YKK.
Wow.
How would I do that? It's a Japanese company. The Japanese consul general is responsible for all of his citizens who are visiting. All the expats are here. All the Japanese businesses in Georgia, but also creating business relationships between his home country and his jurisdiction. So I sat down and I talked to him. I said, Consul General, there's a company I want to do business with, and it's Japanese. It's YKK. Could you introduce me to the chairman? Yes,
That's
I can.
A bold ask.
Well, I was buying lunch that day. And sure enough, he did. Me and that chairman are still friends, and we have grown our business across the pond, both Atlantic and Pacific, with that company. Now, so I thought, if we were to start a global business, a global office, do I do it in Japan? One big barrier, language. I can't speak Japanese. I may represent the Japanese as their ambassador, their diplomat to Alabama. I can't speak Japanese. So what would make sense? What country would make sense to begin our international expansion? Britain. They speak almost English, but so I sat down with the Consul General of Great Britain and talked to him. And I said, look, we need an office to expand globally, not just in Europe. And I'd like to find someplace in England. And by the way, I have a little personal history with England. And so he came back to me maybe a month or so later, and he said, other than the Beatles, do you know anything about Liverpool? I don't. You need to go to Liverpool, talk with them, and that is your competition is very minimal there, and that's where you need to go. Little did I know, about 20 years later, I would negotiate a sister city agreement between my hometown, Birmingham, Alabama, and Liverpool, England. Little did I know even then that I would have just been in Liverpool making a speech to the UN World Cities Day. So that little idea about, wait a minute, how do I get entree into another market? Where do I have someone who has a vested interest to help me? There you go. That's how we did it. We did that with the Czech Republic. We did that with Brazil. We did that France, Japan, as I mentioned, China, and grew a teleconference company from the tool shed in my parents' driveway in Montgomery, Alabama, to where we have operations and customers in 65 countries now.
That's impressive. And still to this day, you're still teleconferencing and going strong.
Exactly.
You were located in this building, were you not?
In fact, yes. There's another company that am a partner in that is starting to move that will actually be a global health information exchange. You get sick here, go see your doctor, and you're in New York. You get sick again, you go in a clinic that is a subscriber to this company, and they've got your records immediately. First corridor, first 2 doors, Tech Birmingham office right there. So that was actually Clarity Global Health Systems office, and then I, as Morrison, sat in there as well.
Now, when we worked together on the Sister Cities Commission, you didn't have these couple of items on your resume. One of them is the Gateway Mayfair Group. Tell us about that.
That is most recent. Look, in your lives, you'll have things come to you. You'll have things that you chase, and you'll have things that chase you, and all of a sudden you come around a corner and there's just an opportunity. Well, I've got friends all over the world, and this buddy of mine who is from Ukraine, Sergey, he kept coming to me saying, look, Mark, there's this opportunity, but we need somebody to go talk to the Japanese. And I would say, yeah, and there's this opportunity, but somebody in Ukraine needs to look at this. So a friend of mine well, Sergey came to me and he said, look, do you know of a way that we can buy 100 U.S. diesel trucks and send to Ukraine once a year? Yeah, I do. And I thought, somebody's going to make some money off that. Might as well be me. Might as well be Sergey. Might as well be my buddy that buys and sells trucks. So the three of us got together and said, let's stop handing this stuff off. Let's start being an international trading company. And so I get the job of figuring out a name. So I thought, Sergey Mark, Sergey Jackson, Sergson, that's cool. And he said, no, that's not cool. Let's don't do that. Mark Gay, no, he didn't like that at all. So I thought, let's pull on the British roots. Well, who in here has been to England? Been to London, right? Well, in London, you've got a real Cockney accent like this, and you've got a very posh Mayfair accent. So I thought, Mayfair Group, that's cool. Guess what? Already taken. And for some reason, the word gateway came in my head, probably because my first laptop was Gateway. Well, nobody was called the Gateway Mayfair Group, and that's what we named it. Now, what we're doing, interestingly enough, this company was launched 6 months ago. We are the trucks I told you about. We are representing a company in Alabama that is creating wood pellets. Now, the interesting part about wood pellets in Alabama, if you look at our entire western side of the state, from Decatur all the way down to north of Mobile, it's woods, it's forest. It's called a wood basket. Well, Ireland, UK, Europe, and Japan have been told you need to reduce your carbon footprint from a power producing perspective. What are they starting to do now? Buy wood pellets. And they can buy them from other parts of the world, but we can actually ship them out of the port of Mobile for cheaper than they can actually buy them from Norway, Finland, and Sweden. Right? Second thing we're doing, weather radar systems. There's a company in Huntsville, actually, called Barron Weather Radar. And this is why I was in Ukraine last week, is because Barron, if you ever watch the Weather Channel, you see all the software behind them, all the arrays, the screens, and all. That is done by a Huntsville company, Barron Weather Radar. So, working to help them sell this weather radar to Ukraine. And then the pièce de résistance was so wonderful. It just fell in our lap. There's this lady and this guy in Dublin. She is very well connected diplomatically. He is the honorary consul general of a Middle Eastern country, and they found out about me in Japan. There happens to be 2 5-star golf resorts there that are for sale. Who do you think they want to sell them to? The Japanese or the Americans. So we get this phone call out of the blue. Could you help us find buyers for these 2 golf resorts? You can Google this, the K Club, the Kildare Country Club, but the K Club, where the Ryder Cup was played in 2011. Y'all, this is a palace. And for me, I'm pretty well traveled, but this was country come to town. And it was cool. Some of the most interesting and expensive paintings I've ever seen hanging in this place, right on the side of the Liffey, which once it leaves the K Club property, it goes straight down through the middle of Dublin. Tremendously historic, and we're finding buyers for that. How far away from being a conference call service is that?
It's very far.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you
exactly
never
right.
saw your life going in that direction,
No, I didn't.
or your business going
I
in
didn't.
that direction, for that matter.
And now we've got, just today, I had to go to Troy and give a speech, and I got a phone call, and we've got another opportunity in Dublin. And it's what I said a while ago, is all personal.
Yeah.
Who you know. I have a motto that I really live by, and that is, a smart man knows everything, but a wise man knows everybody. And I've done fairly well over the years knowing everybody.
I think you should repeat that one more time.
Did you get that?
Yeah, because they say that if you're a wealthy man if you have a lot of friends, And sometimes those friends are business contacts, and they can open doors that maybe you couldn't have gone through on your own.
Well, it's like Sanjay. Sanjay got a hold of me a few months ago. You know what Sanjay did? Sanjay asked me to come speak here. Now, he didn't call me up and just tell me about Innovation Depot. He didn't call me up and tell me what y'all were doing. He called me up and gave me some information and said, I would like for you to come and be a part of this. You asked me. When you asked me, where am I tonight? EC, I am here. And that's what you have to do in business. You're never going to, orders just don't fly into your office without some effort. You've got to ask for that. And you've got to do that in your personal life. My wife didn't ask me to marry her. I had to have some skin in the game. I'm certainly glad she said yes. But you have to ask for that order. You have to ask a guy to be your partner. You have to ask for any opportunity that comes your way. You have to make an ask for it. And that's what I have found. And when someone asks you, you're going to get either a yes or no. But quite honestly, it's not a 50-50 chance. Because you're bold enough to ask, most of the time the person on the other side of the ask realizes that you are sincere, and you've probably got a 70-30, if not better, chance of a yes on that one.
Sounds like really good advice. We were talking a little bit earlier about good advice, and you had said, that you thought there may be some millennials in the room, and you had a few years of experience and some advice. And as a father of someone who's, 18, and your older son is how old?
19 as of last week, and
19.
17.
And 17.
Yes.
So you're constantly giving out advice.
Constantly getting it, too.
Besides getting in the door and asking, are there other things other tools that you had to implement? I mean, obviously becoming an honorary consul was key. People take you more seriously. They will converse at you at a level that they may not converse with ordinary folks. At what point did you realize that was key to progressing down the path? And what would you advise people in business to do if they want to move further along in their careers or in their to advance their businesses?
When the British ambassador called me personally and asked me for a meeting, that's when I knew, whoa, this didn't happen when I was just CEO and chairman of a conference call company. But he asked, I had that meeting. My advice is what I've already said. If you're very serious about your business, whether you work in someone else's business or whether you've got your own skin in the game, your own mortgage on the line, your own life on the line, and trying to make something of yourself and make a difference in the world, it doesn't really matter. You've got to take what you do serious. Could you imagine how horrible it would be? And we've all heard these stories. Oh, golly, I hate my job. I've got to go to work. I hate Mondays. You know what every Monday is? It's an opportunity. You know what every Tuesday is? It's the same thing. Every day is an opportunity, and you have a chance to either grab that opportunity or run from it. Be honest with me. Have you ever heard of people that hate their job? Yes. And what do? Mully grub, humdrum all the time. My father told me a long time ago, get up, put a smile on your face, and head out the door and do something. And that's what you've got to do. I'm a firm believer that the reason we're put here on this earth is so that we leave it better than we found it. And that doesn't mean that you got to go change the world like President Obama, President Trump, Angela Merkel, on those levels. The world that you can change is the world that's within a quarter mile, a mile, 300 miles of you. Look, this building here, I remember this building when I used to come down here and buy parts from Sears for my go-kart. This building right here. And what is this building doing right now? It is creating technologies and products that will change the world. It had already done it. Atlas RFID started in this building. The other day, whenever I checked into the hotel, the K Club in Dublin, Ireland, I used a key I didn't have to stick in the door. I kept it in my wallet. Where was that technology made? Atlas RFID did it right here on the third corridor back there. Did that change the world? You daggum right it did. And you've got to have that kind of passion. If you don't like what you're doing, get out of it. End of story, and find something you like. Well, golly, I'm making X dollars now, and if I got to start out on my own, I'm going to start at zero. Hey, you were born once, you had nothing, start again. Do it. If you want to change the world, start in your own shoes and do it. And guess what? You can do it. Was Bill Gates born a quadrillionaire? No. What did he do? Guess what? We all work for Bill Gates. We all work for Microsoft because we got him right here. Did that change the world? Guess what? I don't have to go grocery shopping anymore thanks to a guy in Birmingham, Alabama, Bill Smith, that said, no, you ain't got to go grocery shopping. We'll bring it to you. And is it not affordable? It's very affordable. Things change, but people drive that change. And you have to be the driver of that change. You never know what your idea is going to do. I'll give you a challenge. Stop by, just drive by one day, a school playground and look. The person that cures cancer may be on that playground. The future President of the United States may be on that playground. The future right now are on the playgrounds of elementary schools. And guess what? We better be able to feed that future because as we get older, they're going to be the ones that are leading this country. Those are the future leaders of the world.
One of the things that you did so well that I witnessed was run a board. And it turns out now you've been invited to run many boards. Can you talk to us a little bit about why that's a good idea? You know, for the people in this room, is it a good idea to volunteer and be on a board and give up your time, not only because you have good intentions, you want to make the world a good place, but is there another reason to do it?
I think you pay your civic rent by serving on boards. And you don't have to be the chairman of a board, but if you find something that you're very, very passionate about, then you serve on that board because you have the ability to make policy that way. And just because someone is the chairman, just because someone is the CEO or executive director, Miss Executive Director, does not mean that you've got all the answers, right? So you surround yourself with people who either you are smarter than, equal to, or smarter than you. And that third group is who you want because they've got years of experience or they're fresh out of the chute and they got new ideas. And if you combine all that together with something that you're passionate with, you're going to make that organization, be it a nonprofit, be it medical, or be it a for-profit organization, you're going to make that successful and you'll be a part of it. Will you be compensated? Probably not. But the compensation whenever you're doing good, for the good of doing good, forget the compensation. It will come to you. Would you care to guess how many conference call customers have come to me from the boards that I've served on? 0. It's not why I did it. When you take an organization like Children's Aid Society here in Birmingham, Alabama, who's been in business since the late 50s, that places children for adoption in homes across Alabama and the Southeast, and you find out that there are children who are 16, 17, 18 years old who have never been adopted, you take that really serious. I know how I grew up. It was nice. I knew my mother and father. I saw them every day. Think if you did not know if you were even ever going to have a family. Now, at 4, 5, 6, 8 years old, boo-hoo. But if you're 17 years old and have never had a family, that's tough. Put yourself in that child's shoes. Wouldn't you spend 5 hours a month trying to work for that organization and give them ideas about how to build better databases, how to reach out and market their product, which are children? Yes, you would. Why? Because you just change the life whenever somebody gets adopted that way.
And just to give you an idea of his dedication to boards, I'm just going to read a few of them that you have either belonged to or currently serving on. Rickwood Field.
The oldest baseball park in the world, 5 miles that way.
The American Lung Association of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
The Alabama Foundation for Agriculture. That's one I never knew existed.
I have asthma, lung association. My father grew up on a farm. I know a great deal about farm implements, cattle farming, and food, and I believe that we ought to eat clean food, not GMOs. There you go.
Does that help you sell satellite dishes? The Central Alabama Clean Cities Commission.
Once again, so you can combat pollution.
All right. The City Club of Birmingham,
Good
Board
place
of
to eat.
Governors.
Good place
to eat.
Yeah.
So you save the farm and then you eat the food. Yeah, I get it. Kid One Transport.
Did anybody know about Kid One? Phenomenal organization. I don't even, look, I could make us all cry about Kid One. And you know the cool thing about Kid One? They drive Mercedes. They drive a Mercedes out to a farm to someone who cannot even afford a car and take them into the doctor, wait on them, and take them home. Is that not first class? Yeah.
March of Dimes.
Oh, golly, Franklin Roosevelt put that together.
Newcomer Society?
Newcomen Society.
Oh.
Started in Scotland and grew globally, which is just a big business fraternity organization. Whenever it started to go bust globally, so a group in Birmingham said, look, we've been going pretty good. So now is there one Newcomen Society in all the world, and it's Birmingham, Alabama.
Ah, okay. Scotland, I think of golf, and of course I think of Shelley. Jimmy Hale Mission.
Yeah.
That's a well-known one. Birmingham International Center. Do they still exist? I think they're, okay. Boys
Mission
Choir,
Creek.
Birmingham Boys Choir.
Yes. My boys had 5 years of piano lessons, 5 years of Birmingham Boys Choir. They sung all over the world in our sister cities. And now my oldest son plays 5 instruments, and he's 19 years old.
Oh, that's impressive. Is he studying music?
He may do a music minor, but he's a computer engineering.
Children's Aid Society, Foundation Board, UAB Comprehensive Cancer Center, Southern Research Institute's Institutional Biosafety Committee, okay, and Birmingham Business Alliance International Business Council.
Right.
That's quite a list. And being on those boards has certainly helped you meet people and make those connections that probably helped you in other ways.
You're exactly right. I think if a day goes by and you don't meet somebody you didn't know, then you just probably stayed home. And you need days like that. But if a day goes by and you don't learn something, then that's kind of a wasted day. And is it like I did? Look, y'all, I got off an airplane 57,000 frequent flyer miles in 3 weeks. I got off that airplane, I came home, we had a water heater leak this weekend. Who fixed it? Me. I learned how to fix a daggone water heater this weekend. So I learned something new. So if this diplomatic gig and all this other stuff, I can go fix water heaters.
Jacket came off,
Exactly.
the sleeves were rolled
That's
up,
right.
and you took a bucket and
That's
a wrench
right.
and you got to work.
Exactly, exactly right.
One cool thing, you have to share one cool story with us about being a diplomat. I know you can drive down one-way streets the wrong direction and not get caught or not get cited, right? What else can you do as a diplomat that us ordinary folks can't do?
I won't say ordinary, but there are some perks to being an honorary consul general. Now, you cannot get very arrogant with it, but they do give you a diplomat tag to go on your car, and they give you this really, really cool diplomat ID that goes in your wallet. And one night, a buddy of mine had been in Huntsville, and I had been up speaking with the mayor and some others there. So it was a true diplomatic trip. I was in the course of duty. So on the way back home, fly do 55. Popped it on up a little bit, went up under an exit, boom, cop pulls us over. So I have a routine I have to go through. Don't hand a driver's license. You have to hand this consular ID, and then driver's license, and then there's a folder because my tag isn't issued by the state, it's issued by the feds. All this, it's a big deal. Really more of a pain in the backside than it is to just give the guy a ticket. So I was ready. Put the window down and started to hand this to me. He said, you don't have to hand it to me, I'm sorry. I said, what? Man, I didn't see your tag. I'm sorry about pulling you over. Have a good night. And my buddy
I'm
said,
riding with you next
my
time.
buddy said, I'm a daggone retired special forces guy that sat in the woods of Kosovo. I've never had a state trooper apologize for pulling me over. But, no, yeah, there's some perks like that, but you better not abuse them.
If we carpool, you're in the driver's seat, that's for sure.
That's right.
Okay,
right.
so I see it's probably close to 6:30. So what I'm going to do is ask you one more question, and that is, if you could tell your 25-year-old self something, what would that be?
Piece of advice for me at 56 to go back and find that guy that had more hair.
And had the feathered hair.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Picture you showed me
Donna
a minute
saw a
ago.
picture of me in high school. This question was asked of me. I have a great distinction, great honor. There's a group in York, England, which was basically the foundation of Rotary clubs, Kiwanis clubs, called the Merchants Adventurers of the City of York. And they meet in the same building that they were formed in 1392, 100 years before Columbus. I'm the only American that has ever been asked to come and address that group. And this question was asked of me then, and I thought about it. I don't have to think about it now. It's very simple. And that is, if I, at this age, had to give myself at 25 years old one piece of advice, it would be that character is made in the things you walk away from. I have found that is very true. If you have an opportunity and it doesn't feel right, but you want to just jump in anyway, there can be sharks in muddy waters. But if you don't feel right, walk away, and you will find most of the time your gut feeling is the right thing. And that's where I would tell myself character is built.
Do you think your 25-year-old version of yourself would listen?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No, I stuck my finger in a lot of light switches. It shocked me. Right.
So at this point, the interview is over, but if you have any questions, let's open up the floor and see if there are any questions from those in attendance.
Okay.
So what was the vetting process like for you becoming a diplomat?
Has that question been asked of me tonight? Before? Yes. Mine was very interesting. My predecessor was chairman and CEO of Alabama Power, a very dear friend of mine. I've known him, a mentor of mine. And he helped me grow Morrison Conferencing as well. And I went to him one time and I said, look, I really want to get some Japanese firms as customers. And he said, look, you know the Consul General of Japan, that story I told you a while ago, YKK. He said, you just go over there and talk to him. Ask him what you need to do. He watched me for about 10 years grow this company. He watched me through my political life and as well as the life that Donna talked about, some of my philanthropic work and things like that. He called me up and he said, look, Mark, I'm going to step down and retire as honorary consul general. But I've decided who I want to replace me. I said, okay, that's cool. Tell me who it is, and I'll call and set up a lunch. He said, oh, no, it's you. I went, dude, I'm not qualified for that. And he said, I think you are. I said, why? He said, well, you've got a lot of cell phone numbers to some very high-ranking people, and Japan wants access. They want a homegrown boy, homegrown guy, that when they want to get with the governor, you can get the governor. You need to be on first-name basis with that governor. They want someone who has been in the business world. They want someone who's done business with them. And I said, not me, the answer's no. He said, you can't say no. Well, I can. I'm a big boy. He said, I've talked to the Japanese. They want you. I said, I don't know many of them. The answer's no. He said, I've talked to the governor. I said, well, that's an easy no. No. He said, I talked to your daddy. I said, that's not fair. What did my father say? He said, your father said very eloquently, I'm glad to see the world change for the better. I fought the Japanese, World War II. And then came back in 1948, climbed Mount Fuji, went back in the 50s in the Navy, in the Korean affair. I have an actual picture of his aircraft carrier anchored in Tokyo Bay during the Korean affair. and then worked for U.S. Steel as a vice president. And when U.S. Steel wanted to embargo Japanese steel hitting the markets back in 74, 75, he talked U.S. Steel into not embargoing but partner with Nippon Steel. So that day, who fought the Japanese and then fought on behalf of the Japanese from a commercial perspective, said, glad to see the world change. I fought the Japanese, now my son will be their diplomat. Now, where's the hole in that? My diplomatic position, I was appointed July 22nd, my birthday, 2014. My father passed away 5 months earlier. But he knew. He was supportive. And that was the vetting process for me. It was a daddy that believed in me. Yes, sir. And cell phone number of U.S. Senator.
So if a company is ready to go overseas and really feels like the market is better overseas, we ran an analysis on our website recently. We get U.S. traffic, but we get Germany, India, and somewhere else overseas, Ghana. So it's telling me they're interested people over there that we need to go talk to. You mentioned going to Atlanta, talking to the consulates. Are you in a position to help lead companies in that direction?
It could help you, yeah, exactly. By the way, we have a Ghanaian sister city. We have 2 Ghanaian sister cities. One of them is Winneba. The other is recent, and I cannot remember the name. But do you mind if I ask what you do?
Yeah, so I have a company called Blue Jar, which is more or less now a technology holding company that we're creating other technologies for government, but we have a new service we think will be really good, which is called JobKit Pro, where we screen vendors and candidates for clients.
For RFPs and things like that.
Yeah, whatever they're going to do, RFP or just want to do business with the government.
Right.
Company, we call BS on people. Improve it. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's all online. It's really fast. It's efficient. But we think the world is a better market than here.
Same for Morrison Conferencing. My market, my price per minute, my retail price per minute was doing this. And we were at 3 cents a minute, and it cost me a penny. 2 cents profit, and I got kids that are growing up about to go to college one day. When I went to England, it was 5 pence a minute. When you did the conversion, took out VAT, that was 9 cents USD. Why do I fight on 2 cents where I can garner 6? Exactly right. What was the key I told you? The consul generals are all responsible for taking care of their people in this region, taking care of the expats, the ones that have left there and come here, which are all consular services, diplomatic services, but they are responsible also. They have a charge to create new business relationships between where they are in their home country. And with a story like you just said, to get that meeting, and look, just go online and look at Ghanaian consulate for Alabama, and you'll find where they are. Are they in Miami? Are they in Houston? Are they in New Orleans? Or are they in Atlanta? Set a meeting. They'll have a trade office. The one that we dealt with was UK Trade and Invest. And there you go. And keep me informed on how you do. Write this down, japan.alabama@gmail.com. That's simple. Right, exactly. And the 3 countries that you're talking about also have easy repatriation of funds, meaning you won't get taxed double when you bring your money back here. But if you decide to set up a separate company or a subsidiary of your company here, laws are simple. And that consulate can help you do that. Are you? I married a girl from Pentlala. Pentlala. Hope Hall. Yeah. Right next door. Exactly. That answer your question? Cool. Yes, sir.
I found your comments just, amazing. I'm glad I was able to make it to hear you. I'm Patrick Hacker. And just so happens that my family has large timber plots in The whole wood
the wood basket.
piece, is fascinating to me. So, what are we gonna do with all the timber? Do we continue in the traditional timber market, folks cut,
Mhm.
harvest? Or do we look into this whole wood pellet thing that you were talking about? And how do we sell, expand what we're doing into new markets, for the next generation?
The biggest thing
It's from five style.
I think one of the biggest things that the world is being faced with is not overpopulation. It is our air quality. As I said, I have asthma. And the last thing, I've never been to our sister city in China because the air quality is horrible. But if you can take and produce energy, electricity, which we all have to have, either for lights, cameras, action, all of that runs off electricity. But you can do it cleaner, then you have a healthier human population. Now, there's a couple of companies that are wanting to set up along Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway. You'd never set this up on the Tennessee River because how are you going to get it out of the Port of Mobile or New Orleans? You got a long way to go. So there you go. Let's talk about this because I know a company right now that's near Jackson.
Wilcox County, right on the Alabama River.
Okay. What city is the closest? Thomasville?
Coy,
Okay.
you know what Coy is?
I do. I actually know the 7th Congressional District extremely well.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about it because this is where it's moving. And we have more sustainable, and that's the key word, forests in West Alabama, East Mississippi than they do in Finland.
Whoa.
Yeah. Sustainable because, yes, we have hardwoods, but pines grow like that. Exactly. Exactly right. That's cool. How many acres they've got? 1,500. You got a lot of trees. Yeah. That's cool. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you.
Just getting another couple of hundred acres. But, people willing to sell their land because they don't really know. And,
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because, look, England was mandated, companies in England were mandated about 8 years ago to start reducing the carbon footprint. And that has led to power companies. We don't have tremendous problems like that because a lot of our power is produced hydro-wise, and there is no pollution coming out of a hydroelectric plant. But whenever you see coal-fired furnaces producing electricity, belching out toxic smoke, and you can take wood chips that are basically all organic, and the smoke that comes out of there has about that much NOx in it, much cleaner. And that's what's being mandated by Japan, Ireland, and countries out of Europe. Just think, your pine tree could be sitting in the furnace of somebody in Czech Republic getting warm next Saturday.
Is it only pines you're looking for?
No. Mostly all woods, even hardwoods. But the predominance of West Alabama, Eastern Mississippi are all pulpwood and yeah.
And we're getting the word that pulp is not worth much.
Who's making paper anymore? I don't like paper. I like that thing. Yeah.
Well, Sanjay, it's about, 10 of?
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
In reference to the boards that you're on, how did you get selected to be on the boards? Did they approach you or did you approach them? And if someone was interested, how did you suggest we go about getting on board?
Well, here's what's interesting. I grew up in Bluff Park, but I moved to Montgomery for 20 years. So when I came back to Birmingham, it was a new town. I had to start over, and the people that I knew, all gone to high school with and stuff like that, I still didn't like them. No. But when I came back to Birmingham, Birmingham was a new city to me. I went and joined what was then the Birmingham Chamber of that we got a lot of press around, and you Google Morrison Conferencing, and you see things that go back to 2000 or 1997, when I was interviewed by the Birmingham News at the time, when we had a newspaper, then about moving headquarters up here. That started a buzz. Oh, this company that's going global one day is wanting to come to Birmingham. Chamber of Commerce got interested, created a buzz. And then I gave a couple speeches about things I was passionate in, and I had, I really can't tell you which was the first board that came to, American Farm Bureau, this board for agriculture came to me because I wanted the conference called Business with the American Farm Bureau. They said, well, you need to help out the Alabama group a little bit, so I did. I got on that board, and then it just kind of went from there. But I'm going to caution you, don't get on a board just to get exposure. You will get exposure if you're passionate about what that board stands for. Remember those kids I told you about? You got to be passionate. You can't use that cause for your own good. It'll come. Your success will come. You may not know it's there, but it's there. It's there already. Just believe in yourself and help other people.
I don't want to keep him, just, he said something about running to a game.
All the clubs and the business clubs and networking that you see all over the world as you travel. Talk a little bit about why that is beneficial and how we may not understand how the international system really works.
Well, it's also very good to speak other languages. I speak 3. And to be fluent in 2 others. But look, I can hold my own in Spanish. It's not one of my languages. But to learn how to say hello to somebody, where's the bathroom, in that language shows someone that you cared enough to learn a little bit about them. And that is not patronizing. It's very honoring as well. But remember what I said, my credo. A smart man knows everything. A wise man knows everybody. How do you get out to meet everybody? Be real. Have something important. Have something to talk about. Don't just go to somebody, hey, I'd like to meet and talk to you. What's their first question? About what? He came to me. How about coming to speak? Sure, oh, come on. No, I want to know what about. Be serious and be important. Finally, be relevant. Don't sit and talk to a brain surgeon about becoming a diplomat. They don't work. They don't care. And vice versa. That makes sense? Thanks.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for being here tonight. Sanjay, thank you so much for putting this together and letting me be a part of it. And Mark, always a pleasure to see you and talk to you again. He's a trip. Every year he's off doing something even more interesting than the year before. So thank you.
Thank you very much.